Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video, essentially. Um, as I said, I am making another video for this sort of thing. This video, I'm actually thinking of like doing a PlayStation specific game showcase. And well, these will be the physical versions, of course, and I will also explain some other games that I've actually owned in the past that is was for PS3. And yeah, so those are going to be very interesting topics to go into and actually get it, get into. So I think I think it's a nice thing to kind of just go and discuss. So I'm gonna start off with PS3 games because everyone probably knows that PS3 is mostly not possible to get unless you search on eBay or yeah, probably eBay or some other game stores that might sell PS3s, or like someone is sell like just but like you don't get it on normal stores. That's just a thing. So with PS3 games that I have currently, I have Skylanders Trap Team, which is actually funny because this one I I ordered Skylanders Swap Force, which is actually funny because like I had figures for Swap Force. I had Swap Force figures themselves because I owned Swap Force at the time, and I actually wanted to get to play that game again because it is essentially the best Skylanders game out there. Until this game came along and said, you know what, we're just we're just gonna take what Swap Force did and make things worse, which is sort of a which is sort of thing I'm just not like, I'm honestly not that happy about this game. Not like, maybe not happy. I'm not, how do you say? Uh, I don't think this game actually like fulfilled what it was supposed to do, which is funny because every other Scourge games did that. Even Imaginators, which is actually funny, but like, and I have played that game. I actually own it here. I'll show you it when we get to it. It's in the PS4 category, so no worries there. But Trap Team was actually the one of those games that when I played it, and I didn't even have a trap master or like anything like that. I played the game without having a Trap Team Scavenger character, and it felt very underwhelming because and it felt like I wasn't playing the proper game, if you get what I mean, because I didn't have any traps, I didn't have any trap masters. I was basically playing the game without playing it as intended, which is sort of what made me like not like this game as much as the others, but like, it's I'm gonna say it's not that bad of a game. Sure, there are glitches and bugs in the game, but like, it's not that bad. It's not like the worst thing you could have gotten of Scavenger's games, you know, possible. Like, it is definitely the worst Scavenger game in my opinion. Like, I haven't tried the first game, so I don't know. I can't really say for that one, but I think, but personally, I think just by looking at the gameplay, I think that that game is probably better than this game because it's probably like for functionality and all that. But I can't say for sure. I can't really back up that statement. Therefore, my statement is invalid. Uh, but yeah, Scoundrel's Trap Team. I do recommend trying it, but I don't recommend trying it without having a track team Scoundrel or no traps. You at least have one of those for this game because it's probably the worth going for. I probably might actually play it again once I get to it. Next one is DMC Devil May Cry. This one actually, wait, let me there. This one actually, in my opinion, was the first Devil May Cry game I actually played. That is actually funny. I'm not even joking. And it's like I think I got it like last year, possibly, or the year before. Um, but personally, I love this game. This is one of the best games I've played from the PS3 era in general. So it's actually a really cool game. It's also like it's funny because based on this game, it was also best of E3 in PSU. Like PSU, it was best action game, which like I can understand why it got that honestly because it is a really good game. Recommend trying because the game actually the the combat in the game is really good. The story is appealing. The the boss fights are interesting to say the least. However, I don't recommend kids playing it. No, that is just the fact. I don't like at least based on this, it's 16 plus, but like which yeah, sure, I do agree. Maybe 15 year olds could actually play this, but I'm not so sure about that. But yeah, this is a good game for those who actually want to try something, a bit more brutal but epic at the same time. It's also one of those games that kind of like the aesthetic reminds me of Brutal Legend, but it's still like different because of the gameplay, the action, and all that is way different. But yeah, next one is Batman Arkham Asylum. This one, in my opinion, is a good game. Honestly, like it's not the best of the three, of course, but it's definitely worth playing because it's one of the first Arkham games, or like the first Arkham game of the Batman Arkham series. I actually like first time I actually played this on Xbox 360 with a friend at the time, or well, he was a friend at the time. Not gonna say what happened there, but things happen, and that's kind of how things go. But yeah, it's honestly a really good game. Like there's a good combat, good like good exploration. Like not that much, but like you get to explore Arkham Asylum, which I think is really cool. And just playing Batman in that sort of style is really goddamn cool. It's yeah. Next up is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. A lot of people say it's the best, has the best like ship combat, and is the best Assassin's Creed game. I can't really back up the best Assassin's Creed game because personally, there's another game that I like that I will like Assassin's Creed game that I feel like is better than this one. But the ship combat in this one is actually really goddamn good. That is a fact, and I think a lot of people do agree with there. And yeah, this one I do recommend trying this one out for those who actually want to try something out of Assassin's Creed that they haven't tried out yet. But I'm assuming a lot of people actually tried that one out to begin with. Next one. This is the last one of the ones that I actually own because some of these games, some of these games are my brother's, and then some. Well, all of them come from my brother's. But the other brother didn't really come for his games or anything. I think he just left them for us to just have, possibly, and he didn't really take them back as he said. So I'm guessing we're just keeping them. Like I can't really say for sure, but yeah. The last game of the games that I own is Grand Theft Auto 4. This one, like I haven't played much of it at all, so I can't really say that much about the game. The game actually does look good. That much can I say, and it's probably one of those games that I probably should play more of in general. I feel like I should actually play this game more. But like, what do you think? Do should I? I probably should, but I don't know. So yeah, I can't really comment on that game, unfortunately. But like, people can, comment on games, you know. Now, for games that my brother owned, my younger brother, that is, who was only 2 years younger than me. That's a fun fact. Um, he he owns Ratchet and Clank Q Force. This one, in my opinion, is a really cool game. Like, definitely not the best game for single player, but a great game for multiplayer. Um, the story is really short, funnily enough, and like one of the shortest Ratchet and Clank games in general for story, like in story, and this was mainly for multiplayer reasons. But this is one of the games I think me and my little brother actually loved playing because it had a really cool mechanic like in tower defense mechanic sort of, but you got to explore the area, and that's what made this game really cool while still keeping the elements of Ratchet and Clank, which I think was really cool. Probably an underwhelming game, but it's definitely a game worth trying out for multiplayer reasons, of course. Whether if it's a story multiplayer or you just want to get out, basically. Next game, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Uh, Modern Warfare 3 is actually the worst game I've played of the Modern Warfare game. Like the original Modern Warfare games that I've played, which is this, and I've not played the first one, so I can't really backup for that one. But like this second one, in my opinion, was better than this one. The story I feel like wasn't the story wasn't the best in my opinion in this game, but it was interesting nonetheless. The gameplay, it pretty much like Modern Warfare 2. That's all I can say, but I think a lot of people will agree that Modern Warfare 3 is one of those games that was hyped up and then things kind of went sideways. Like not too sideways, but like a little bit sideways. Next one is Battlefield Bad Company 2. This one honestly, like I haven't played much of this one, but this one in general is a really good game. Like has the same mechanics as the first game, which honestly, like I actually like it. The story in this one, I don't remember much, like, but basically, from the first game, you from the first game and this game, you're playing basically a group of people who were sent out to die. Like group of people who are in the army who are like essentially crazy or like counted as crazy people or people who actually did something that uh the military wouldn't really do, and so they were thrown in this group just to be sent out to die essentially. But this is essentially the sequel of that, and honestly I'm not disappointed that the game got a sequel, but I don't know how this game is, so I like fully. The gameplay is actually good, so I can recommend it for gameplay, even though I haven't played much of it. The gameplay seems to be very similar to the first game. So yeah, definitely a game worth trying out at least. Next one, which is actually a popular one, and I think a lot of people actually know, which is GTA 5. We actually have like two copy of these, which is funny, which means I might actually take the other one if it ends up being the case. Um, but GTA 5 is, I think, the one game I feel like just doesn't want to die out yet. Like, it's one of those games where it's like, it was made in the PS3 era. Why is it still alive? Why is GTA 16 not like GTA 6 yet out yet? And people like I think the company just wants to hype up uh, GTA 5 for obvious reasons and online purposes as well, which is weird. I don't know why they went with it, but they went with it. But yeah, next up is actually a game I think a lot of people are gonna recognize, but I don't think everyone has played it, which is Sonic Unleashed. This one actually I think is a really good game, honestly. Like the Sonic state, like this is the game where Sonic has two forms. One that is during the day and one during the night, which is, just during the day, he's just plain old Sonic, right? He's fast, does the usual running and stuff. And then during the night, something is weird, and there's a story element to it, which I think is really interesting, and that is the fact that uh, Eggman used the power that Sonic gives along with the Chaos Emeralds to literally split the Earth to release a dark energy that also somehow changes Sonic at the same time and turns him into a werehog, which sounds like a really cool thing, and I actually love that concept. The werehog stages are really good, and in my opinion, not the not the best it could be, but it's definitely a good sort of game. It has a good gameplay element towards it, and I think the combat in it could have been better handled, but it's manageable. It's a good game in general. Oh yeah, and it's also the first game that has boost mechanics. So in general, I think this is the game that sort of just um revolutionized Sonic for for quite a long time in general. And yeah, definitely worth trying out once if you plan on, checking that out. Last game that he actually owns is SSX. This is the SSX that was most this is the most recent SSX game. I don't think they're gonna make another SSX game after this one because I have no clue really. But this one, in my opinion, was the is the best SSX game I've played. I believe I played the third game, which was a good game, don't get me wrong, but this one I feel like there were elements in that game which sort of just made sense in a way. Like you had this snowboarding aspect of the game, but there was this gimmick of there are hazards, there are um obstacles that you have to overcome, and stuff like that. So you needed certain equipment to handle them. So for example, there were you for example, you need a glider to glide over gaps, or you need a headlamp to go through dark caves, or you need the pythons for uh essentially snowboarding on ice, which sounds crazy, but holy, that it was it's a good game. It's a great game. It's one of like EA actually did something right with this game. Honestly, I don't think I could have ever had such a fun snowboarding game, or play such a fun snowboarding game in general. Sure, the last yes, SSX this SSX has a story, and the last bit is definitely the hardest one. But it's still a really cool one because it's using every single element that you've learned from the entire game, which I think was really cool and made things really interesting. Um So to the next games. Uh Lost Planet. Honestly, I think this one is a really good game. Like it's definitely like it's a very unique one. It's like it has the mechanic like the mechanic. You can still get it on Steam. That's the fun fact. Um, this one had where you're playing as a essentially a human person just in a snowy planet like on a snowy planet who's essentially uh di- discovering like things on that planet, which is actually really interesting and like probably worth checking out. I don't remember much of the story, to be honest. It's been so long, but like I know that there was some sort of like um there was a villain in this game. That is a fact. There is a villain in this game, and that's cool. I actually want to try it out again at some point. This is like that was one of those games that Capcom just went, "Hey, we have here's Lost Planet 3." But yeah, uh, next game, Ratchet and Clank: Tools of Destruction. This one, honestly, is a good game. It's in my opinion, it's not the best Ratchet and Clank game, but it's a really good Ratchet and Clank game. Like, it's not the best Ratchet and Clank game I've played because I haven't played all Ratchet and Clank games. I've played this one. Uh, Actually, no, this one actually is better than A Quest for Booty, which essentially is essentially just tools of destruction, but think of it as a DLC, but it isn't a DLC, more of just explaining or just trying to finish what Tools of Destruction started to sort of hype up the next game, like the next proper game, which was Kraken Time, which is also a really good game. Uh, but yeah, like I played, yeah, Tools of Destruction. I've played Q Force, of course. Uh, Quest for Booty, I believe it's called that. A Crack in Time, the PS4 remake, and Rift Apart. And oh yeah, and Awful One. My favorite one of all of these is actually Rift Apart, funnily enough, which is like the reason is because the mechanics in that game is actually really good. But right now, we're not actually going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this. So this is actually the first game that introduces the Dimensionator. If you don't know, if you haven't played any of the Ratchet and Clank games that focuses on the Dimensionator or anything like that, then you're probably missing out. But I don't think you're really missing out if you've actually seen gameplay of Rift Apart because it's like I don't know if Nexus has like I'm pretty sure Nexus might actually have something to do with the Dimensionator as well. But like Tools of Destruction was the first game to actually like mention it or like have it presented. And the whole point of Ratchet and Clank Tools of Destruction was for Ratchet and Clank to find the Dimensionator before a certain villain would use it to, do some evil stuff, conquering the world or something like that. Who knows? I'm not gonna spoil spoil that story too much. If you've played the game, then you know what I'm talking about. Next one. The first game of the two that I mentioned, Bat Company. This one I honestly think is a really good game. Um, as I said, it's about four people who just like were put together in a group and was sent out to essentially die, more or less. At least that's how the story goes, and it's an interesting and it's a fun game to sort of get to. The characters are very enjoyable, and I think this is definitely a game that EA actually did something right with. And normally EA doesn't do always right with certain games. And technically speaking, EA didn't really make this game. It was which company actually made the game? Yeah, Frostbite. Yeah, I think it's Frostbite, right? No, okay, Frostbite is an engine, and probably, yeah, probably Dice made actually, yeah, Dice probably made the game, but like EA was the one who probably like funded the game in general. But yeah, it is a actual good game, and it's worth playing, especially for the characters. The characters are enjoyable, and I recommend checking those. Check. I recommend checking the game because the story is also really goddamn good. Next up, Haze. This one actually, it's been a while since been a long time since I actually played this one, but this one, in my opinion, had a really cool story, a really interesting story as well, because this was about a character who essentially worked for some evil company that then was betrayed and you know sent or left to die essentially. Survives and goes ahead and tries to get his revenge of some sort, or figuring out what is going on and stuff like that. Maybe not the revenge part, but he's trying to figure out what's going on, and it's an interesting game in general. Do recommend trying it out. Next up, Armored Core Verdict Day. The fifth game of the Armored Core, and the last one before, well, Armored Core 6. This one actually, I think, was a good game in general. It's actually a really like fun game in a way. Like it's not one of the games that I would normally play, but I would definitely pop it in every now and then, just play it because the mechanics is good and the gameplay is actually pretty good as well. Made by FromSoft as well. That's you know, FromSoft never ceases to amaze me, especially with the Souls-like games. Those are good. Next up, um, this is the interesting one. Great special edition. Brink, if you don't know, is a free to play game on Steam. I think it's also free to play on other. No, it was through free to play on PS3, I think. But this is the special edition, which gives you skins and stuff, which is actually interesting. Um, it's a story like this game actually has a story of some sort, but you get two teams, you get to like play through them, and basically it's about liberate like one is trying to take over like one of them is trying to take over like they're fighting to take over like a specific city. I completely forgot what it was. But yeah, this is also one of the games that Bethesda actually had. I don't think a lot of people liked it. I don't know for sure, but like in general, I actually think this game is good in general. Do I recommend it to everyone? I can't really say for sure because personally, I think the game was really good. Like multiplayer as well was really good in general, and it had really cool mechanics as well because you had like four different classes and they worked in such different ways. Like you had the specialist, I think, like or something like that. You had like a healer, you had a tech guy basically, you had a hacker, and then you had an engineer and a hacker. I don't remember what the fourth one. I think that one was mainly just yeah, that one there was the one with explosives and stuff. But yeah, like Brink definitely a game that I would say is worth trying out. It's free on Steam, so like at least I got it free on Steam. I don't know if it's still on free on Steam. All I know it was still on Steam when I checked, and that's the funniest thing. Next one is Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon 2 Advanced Warfare. I haven't played that much of this game. The mechanics were actually good, but I haven't really played much of this game, so I can't really say much. Or like, no, Advanced Warfighter, not Warfare. What am I saying? Oh well. It's definitely a game I would say probably like definitely a game to try out. Like I should probably play more of it, mainly to see how the game is for myself properly. But you know, next up, um, yeah, three FIFA games, aka football or soccer, and like soccer or football in British or for British people. Um, FIFA 11, which and FIFA 12 and FIFA 13. I don't really need to explain much about these games. That everyone knows what FIFA is. But like, yeah, I think like FIFA 13 was one of the most popular ones back in the day. I don't think FIFA 12 or 11 was that popular from my experience. Next one, which is also an interesting one, um, Batman Arkham Origins. Now I haven't been able to play this one on PS3, which is interesting. I think like I might need the internet for this one. I don't know for the PS3 version, but like yeah, might have needed the internet for this one because back then I when I tried it, I didn't have the internet back then. So like yeah, um, But this is essentially a game that is supposed to happen before Arc the Arkham trilogy, and also isn't official based based on people or based on media. But yeah, it's definitely a game I would say worth trying out, and the mechanics are pretty much the same as Arkham. Are the other Arkham games, so not that bad. Next one, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls 5, Skyrim for PS3. Yeah, this is actually not that bad. It's a good game, in my opinion. It's, how do I say? A lot of people overhype this game. I'm not gonna say it's a bad game because it isn't a bad game. It's more of the fact that this game is not um like this is a game that is definitely not made for everyone, but those who love fantasy in general, definitely worth trying this one out. The mechanics are easy to get into when you play through the game. The game actually teaches you how to play it. So yeah, it's actually a really cool and interesting game to play. Next one is Beyond Two Souls for PS3. This one I haven't played the entire story, but the gameplay is interesting and really cool as well because this one does have multiplayer. Yep, you can be two players in it. However, you need the difference is that one of the players is going to be the entity essentially that is sort of protecting a female antagonist essentially, or no, antagonist, protagonist. Yeah, was it protagonist? I don't remember. The main character essentially. Um, which actually is an interesting sort of game to get into. I actually wasn't too appealed by this game, mainly because the way the game handled. I don't know why. I just didn't find it that appealing. But like, I thought the controls and gameplay was controls was really good. The gameplay was good. It was more the fact that it handled weirdly for my taste. Next one, which is the final PS3 game that we have, though not sure if we own it because I mean he just gave us to just have it essentially, let us have it, and he would have come back for it when we got the actual game, got games for the PS3, and he said also he was going to give us like our own PS3 at the time because the other PS3 actually just that we owned that actually we bought back then. Like I think I was around 10, 11, 10. Yeah, but then that one sort of just the disc reader didn't want to read discs at the time, and then we had to move and stuff. Yeah, and then he loaned us. gave us to have, or let us have a PS3 that worked, and with a disc reader that worked, and let us have some games because we lost our games, the other PS3 games. But yeah, for not, but enough of that. We're getting to the last game that we have, and I'll also mention games that we had bef- before. So this one is The Sims 3. Yep, I think everyone knows what that game is, especially if you played Sims 4, then you know what this one is. The Some people might say it's a better than Sims 4. Some might say Sims 4 is better than Sims 3. Personally, I actually like Sims 3 a bit more due to like a specific thing, and that was the fact that you like in Sims 4 you had like, oh, you need to go to a mirror to customize your character. This game had a machine that could literally change your character into whatever you want. Change the character into whatever you want, and that's a really cool, fun thing. Well, sim technically, changing a sim to whatever you want, which is actually really cool and really interesting. But yeah, that's the ones that we have, and the PS3 games that we actually did own was Haunted Demon's Forge, which, in my opinion, the story is interesting. Gameplay is good, and definitely a game worth trying out at least. Then we had Disney Infinity, both 1.0 and 2.0. I have played 3.0. I actually owned it on PC, but never played it on PS3 or any or on a PS3 console or PlayStation console. Um, technically. Um, the first game is definitely a game worth playing. If you want the full experience of 1.0, I recommend getting the console version, because the PC version gives you everything and doesn't give you the full experience of the game. And the reason why I say it doesn't give you the full experience of the game is because in toy box mode, if sure there was the whole roulette thing, but then there was the one thing that was really interesting, and I actually wasn't that annoyed about. Like, it was a little bit annoying because you couldn't really place the thing on the spot if the box was there, but like it was the essentially character box thing, like where you need a certain character, and then you open that box and you get whatever toy or stuff is in that box or whatever that container. And I think that was a really cool thing in the toy box mode. Like, sure, it made sense in the playsets, but in toy box, that was a really cool thing because it randomly popped up, and if you had that character, you could actually just get something from there. And I think that was one of the cool parts about that part of the game. And yeah, that's the reason why I say that um, Disney Infinity 1.0 console version is worth playing. Disney Infinity 2.0 is also like I would also recommend the console version for that for multiplayer. Actually, all the games are like if you want multiplayer, it's definitely recommended to have a P console version of Disney Infinity because if you for multiplayer reasons, like single player reasons, sure, it's good, but it's not the same way as with multiplayer. It's way more fun with multiplayer. Um, but yeah, we also had Skylanders Giants and Swap Force. Giants was a really fun game in general. Uh, like I think the best parts of it was uh I think the best part of it was essentially the uh the battle mode, like the battle arena, because that is where you get to pit and pit like take Skylanders and pit them against one another. That's a cool thing. That's a cool mechanic. That's a cool game mode. And Skylanders Swap Force is also a really good game. Like Giants gimmick was that you know giants, and that was the entire gimmick of Skylanders Giants, and they had basically super strength. That was the entire gimmick. Not to you know, and there was also like the thing is with giants there were essentially two routes you could take. If you have a giant, you can essentially do the what was it, feat of strength or whatever it was called, and essentially unlock a path that goes that direction rather than taking the path where you don't really need a giant, because why would you, you know? uh Plus the feat of strength thing in Skylander Giants was actually really cool. Excuse me. What else? Scout Scavenger Swap Wars was, I think, one of the cooler games in general, one of the best Scavenger games as well, because it allowed you to play any sort of Scavenger you wanted to play without actually losing much. The only thing you would have lost, like wouldn't have experienced if you didn't have a Swap Force character Scavenger, is the swap zones. And the swap zones is basically like um a mini games sort of thing where you need a certain bottom part of a swap force character to use to get into that challenge or mini game, which I think was really cool. Battle mode was also in that game if I remember correctly. So yeah, it was a really I think one literally the best calendar game ever made in general. I'm just gonna say it. However, Scavenger Superchargers is my favorite. That's just hands down. Okay, I personally Superchargers is my favorite. But yeah, we also had Lord of the Rings War in North. Good game. Recommend trying that one out. Sly Cooper's Thieves in Time. A game that I would say is underrated, personally. Um, what other games were there that we had? Fight Night Round 4, boxing game basically, or I think what was it called? What is it called? UFC, I think. Like it's essentially a UFC game, I think it was called for the PS that was then changed to or whatever. Like it is a boxing game basically, so it's yeah. Then is it also we had FIFA games, we had Buzz Brain of the World, which was actually a fun game to be honest. Uh what else? Lego Batman 2, good game. It is a good game. I do recommend playing Lego games. Lego Star Wars, the Clone Wars. Like, okay, technically speaking, it's called Lego Star Wars 3, the Clone Wars, but I call Lego Star Wars the Clone Wars because it makes more sense. Lego Harry Potter. Uh, year 5 to 7. No, yeah, year 5 to 7. I didn't play the first game on PS3. That is a fun fact. Yeah. What else? Lego Lord of the Rings. Lego Marvel Superheroes on PS3. Yep. Uh, what else? Ratchet and Clank All for One. What else? I'm trying to memorize games that I had. What we had technically. I don't remember. Um, I don't remember much more. Uh, uh, yeah. Uh, you know what? Uh, I'll probably get back to that eventually. But let's go to the PS4 side of things, since this is PlayStation's PlayStation game PlayStation games essentially, or games for PlayStation consoles, physical ones. Lego City Undercover. I'm happy to own this one, to own the physical copy of this game because the PS4 version as well. Because originally this was exclusive on Wii U, and I saw gameplay of it and I was like, I wish I could have played this game and actually, you know. And then it came on PS4, and I saw it on PS4 and was like, I need this game. This is a game worth playing. And so yeah, Call of it's basically a Call no wait, not Call of Duty, a GTA Lego game, essentially. Except you're playing a cop, not a robber. You're playing a cop who goes undercover into different gangs and different, basically. Next one is one of the first games I've actually owned, and that is Dragon Ball X Universe, the first game. Honestly, a really good game. It's not of the two games. This is the worst one, but it's definitely a game worth playing. I do recommend playing this one before the second one because a lot of elements from the second game came from this game. And the story in this game is also really good in general. Like, sure, it doesn't have include like certain story arcs in like more stories from the Dragon Ball Z in general, because this game heavily focuses on Dragon Ball Z. I think yeah, this one's heavily focused on Dragon Ball Z. Part I don't know if this one actually like there was the Bears movie, but I don't remember. I don't think that that one had the same. Like I haven't really seen the movies, or nor have I seen Dragon Ball Super, so I don't know how the Bears arc one in here, like which one is actually from. But it's definitely like it also had the GT DLC story as well, which I think is really cool. I actually played the GT one, but on on the second game, so I don't know how the that is in the first game like originally. So that is that is for me to check out eventually. Next one is Borderlands: The Handsome Collection. This one I actually am kind of happy to own for some odd reasons. Um, because this is essentially just two games in one. Um, which is Borderlands pre-sequel and Borderlands 2. Personally, I would say Borderlands 2 is the better one of those two games. I've played the first one, and it is a good game. I'm gonna say that. And the third game is also a good game, but of all Borderland games and not the spin-off ones, because if I would include a spin-off one, I would put that one in the top. Okay, that is just a fact. But of all Borderlands, like main Borderlands games, Borderlands 2 is my favorite one. But yeah, it's a group good game, great game compilation in general. So yeah. Uh Next up, Lego Marvel Superheroes 2. This one I think was really cool in general. Like the this is the deluxe edition, which actually you get the season pass code as well, which is kind of cool. And this essentially is a literal continuation of the first game. The sad part is that Wolverine and like well X-Men, Fantastic Four, and then Deadpool, of course, weren't in there in this game. You got Gwenpool as a substitute for Deadpool, which okay, sure, for the second game, like sure. I mean, I mean, it has to have some difference, right? You know? Yeah. But in general, I actually enjoy the second game. It has like, especially like the DLCs are well made for that game. Like sure, not all DLCs are based on movies. Like the only one that is actually based on a movie was the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which I find funny that I actually managed to do that beginning part of the movie in a Lego game. Oh man, in a DLC as well. That is amazing. But yeah, but there are in general like good like levels in the game and interesting characters to play as well. But yeah, next up, this is a game I think a lot of people have heard of. Probably you probably wonder what it is, and I think the first thing you would think of when you play this game is what if Minecraft had a story? Well, guess what? It does. This is Minecraft story mode, the complete adventure, which means you basically get the entire story in the package, in a package, which actually is cool, really cool. And in general, I actually am happy that I have at least like a physical copy of this. Personally, I actually wished I had the male version of this of the back of the thing, like of the cover, but like eh, this is fine. It's still like this is still a rare thing, like rare game in general. Like maybe not that rare, but it's definitely rare because I don't think many people have an actual copy of it. But who knows? Maybe people do. Maybe people do. Next one is actually a really cool game. Oh yeah, which is actually I also need to get into with a previous game of this one. Uh, this one is actually a franchise based on an anime franchise that basically pretty much anyone knows. Naruto Shippuden specifically, Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. Now, this one I'm actually happy to own the physical copy of. The game in general is really gotten good. It's like in general, the combat in this game it has the best combat of all Ultimate Ninja Storm games that I've played. However, of all Ultimate Ninja Storm games I've played, it's definitely not the best game in general. In my opinion, I believe the best game, Ultimate Ninja Storm game in general, is the third game because the story there was somehow way more impactful than in this one. Sure, the one like there's one thing I can say that this game tried to do with the Boruto DLC that sort of took elements from the third game, and that was the whole like exploration with story, sort of. But the exploration was still pretty much like in the fourth game, like after the main story thing in this game. The third game we actually owned. Well, my brother actually owned on PS3. So yeah, another like thing. But yeah, this is essentially. I'm actually happy to own this copy, or like owning a copy of this game because it's actually a really good game. Definitely worth trying out. Now, as I said, this is also one of the Assassin's Creed games. Uh, personally, the one I find has the is the best game in general, and that's Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Assassin's Creed Odyssey allows you to choose between two characters, and the choices you make in the game affect the story essentially, which I think is a really cool thing in for a Assassin's Creed game. And this is in general a really cool uh gameplay in general. Like has a really cool gameplay in general. It's has the traditional like Assassin's Creed gameplay, but has a really cool sort of element to it, and has it's based on the Greek mythology, which is actually really cool. Um, and yeah, you get to play. There are two characters that you get to choose from. One is female named Cassandra, and the other one Atreus? No, I don't remember what the name of the male character was. And they're essentially siblings. That's the funniest thing. If you've sure, maybe spoiler alert, but I don't think that's much of a spoiler considering it's been a while, and secondly, I think a lot pretty much and pretty much most people have played Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I think. Next one is actually a blast from the past, you could say, sort of, but you know, Destroy All Humans, which originally came out on what was it, PS1 or PS2? I don't remember. This one is actually a really good game in general. Like, I actually enjoy this game. Uh, not the best game though. The best game I played of just Destroy All Humans was the Path of Fury one that I played on PS3. We technically speaking didn't own it. Question mark. But yeah, Destroy All Humans definitely like a game that is worth playing. Has a really cool, fun mechanics and stuff like that. I do recommend trying out this version of Destroy All Humans. I haven't played the original version, so yeah. Now to the game I was talking about earlier, Skylanders Superchargers. This is the Skylanders game where they added vehicles. Yes. Um, the reason why I actually would like say this, why the reason why I think this is my favorite one is because the vehicle aspect of the game was really cool, and how they implemented that aspect into the story itself, which was a really cool way of like saying, "Hey, this is not a traditional Skylander game." Like, because a traditional Skylander game is more like the previous ones, right? Skylander Superchargers kind of just broke the boundaries and went ahead and said, "Hey, you want to try out a different way of playing a Skylanders game? Here you go, Skylander Superchargers." And I actually love this game for the fact that they did that with that game. Um, Now for a brief um for a brief callback to certain franchise, Middle Earth, Shadow of War, a Lord of the Rings sort of game, essentially. Base that happens. I think it was like the Lord of the Rings. I don't remember exactly, but this one happens after Shadow of Mordor, and this is the one where you. This is a game where uh like the main aspect of the game is the capability of having your own sort of horde or like army to take over a base and stuff like that. Cool, but like it's also like one of the things that I feel like is like it's a cool mechanic. It's really interesting. It's definitely a fun game to play, but I don't know. I don't think it's that appealing to me for some odd reasons. I don't know why. I haven't really gone back to play this game. I haven't really completed this game. That's an even funnier thing to think about. Next up, which I think a lot of people are gonna love to hear when they see this one. Star Wars Jedi: The Fallen Order. Yep, a physical copy of that one, which I'm actually happy I had have this one. I haven't played Survivor, the sequel of this game, but like this one, I actually enjoy. The gate combat is really well made in general. The aesthetic of the game is actually really good, and I also love how this game sort of um handles in general, like the way they handled the game. They handled it with care, but also like try to make it as like epic as possible, which I think was really goddamn good. Which was a really goddamn good thing. Now I think this one is gonna be an interesting topic to go into. Marvel's Spider-Man, the Insomniac version, of course. For PS4, yes, the original version of the Insomniac Spider-Man. Um, Honestly, a really goddamn good game. Is it the best game though? Best Spider-Man game though? Until Spider-Man 2 came out, no. No wait. Like no. Wait, actually, until Spider-Man 2 came out, it was the best game. But after that, it was like Spider-Man 2 took that spotlight, unfortunately. But definitely, I definitely recommend playing Spider-Man before Spider-Man 2 because the story in Spider-Man, Insomniac Spider-Man, literally like uh is literally a really good experience. Like the story has a really good experience in general. Like you feel like you're experiencing the story in as Spider-Man basically. And the gameplay makes you feel like Spider-Man. And I think that's what made this game really goddamn good. And I'm actually happy that Insomniac got um allowance to make a Spider-Man game because they've done such good jobs with other games. And like I think their first game franchise was Spyro. But yeah, another game like that, one of the first PS4 games I had, Bloodborne. This one actually came in with the console itself, like the console pack-in, which I think was really goddamn cool that I actually got it, the physical version. And again, FromSoft. So yeah, this is yep, this is definitely a game worth playing. Like the game is really good in general. I haven't really taken that far. I'm still calling it a good game because it is a good game. The the fact, like, even though it's difficult, it's fun. It 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 says it's literally telling you to overcome your weaknesses and become better. That is literally what the FromSoft games are trying to tell you. Become better. Next one is Darksiders 3. Honestly, a really good game. Like the story is really good in my opinion. And one of the reason why I would also say that this is my favorite Darksiders game in general. I've played pretty much every single Darksiders game at this point. I don't think Darksiders 4 is coming out. Maybe, who knows? But like, I wish Darksiders 4 was happening because this one ended on a cliffhanger for Dark for a sequel, which is funny because the second game didn't even end on a cliffhanger. This game did. It showcased the last character that was left to be played as in a single player game sort of way. Like the first game had a really, basic sort of thing. Second game took that element and sort of added onto it and made it a little bit different as well. The third game took like literally took its own sort of platforming element and combat element as in general. Like, and that's what one of the reasons why I love Dark Souls 3 a lot. Darksiders 3 is, even though there's a female protagonist, the story in the game is one, like, it has literally the best story, in my opinion, of all Darksiders games that I've played. I haven't, like, to begin with, I haven't played the first game all the way through. I can't really vouch for that one, like the first game, nor Genesis all the way through. So I can't really say for those two games in general, but of the games of the stories that I've completed, the third one has the best one. And yeah, next game, which I think a lot of people are gonna be um wondering, why in the world do I have this game as well, or at least you know play this game as well. Lego Dimensions, essentially the third and the final proper like Toys to Life game. Yes, I'm not calling Starlink a proper Toys to Life game because they abandoned that later. They abandoned that gimmick later. That's the I don't get why they did it, but they did it. But yeah. Or no wait, actually do get it because it was dying out, but still. Lego Dimensions, in my opinion, was the coolest Toys to Life game in general because the way they handled the toy pad and the gimmick there and how it worked, it was really cool and really interesting to kind of get into. And I also love the fact that this is also the only Lego game that went, hey, let's take bunch of franchises, have them in Lego, and mash them together. And this is literally this is literally the game for that. And I actually love this game for that reason. Plus, the gameplay in the game is actually really good. Like, it's definitely not a game that I would um I would have recommended it if it was still, being sold on actual stores. But I don't think it is, and it's probably really pricey at the same time. Actually, maybe not in Amazon. Amazon actually still, you know, Amazon. You can still get it on Amazon. So yeah, there you should be fine at least. Sure, you're gonna be paying for shipment, probably, but It's not that big of a deal. Next one is the one and the only game of its kind, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. This one, in my opinion, is a blast to play through. This is literally one of those games where I'm just like, where um, it feels like a Brutal Legend game. It's not like Brutal Legends, but it feels that way because the like a lot of the game feels like they took inspiration from Brutal Legend, which is actually a interesting thing. Like I don't know if that's true, but the game has that feel to it. It has that, and plus they actually had um sound like rock music added into the whole thing, which I think was really cool, like and old school music in general. So in general, I think this is a game worth playing. The gameplay is really good. Even if you're just playing Star Wars, it's really good, and you get to command your team, which is actually also really good. It's a really good Guardians of the Galaxy game, and it's only one of its kind, so it's actually worth playing. Next game, which honestly, I don't know why I have a physical copy of this, but I'm still keeping this copy because why not? Black Clover Quarter Nights. This one, in my opinion, I think I wondered why I bought it, and the reason why I bought it is because it's Black Clover, and I had watched the pretty much most of the show, and in general, I think when I looked at it, I was like, I need to get it. I need to actually play this game. So I bought the physical version, and I'm actually not this like I'm actually not disappointed at myself, but I'm also disappointed in myself that I bought the physical version and not getting a digital version. But who knows? Maybe it's just me thing, really. I'm so happy to have this game physically because then I can just pop in the game and play it on my own or multiplayer. I think. Can I play it multiplayer? Nope. It's a single player only unless you're online. Oh, great. At least the story is actually interesting, and the game is the gameplay is good in general. Like, definitely not the best game black that features Black Clover in general, but it's the only Black Clover game on consoles in general. I don't think there's another Black Clover game at all. So I'm still happy that I own it. But I still wonder why I own it. It's a thing. Next up is actually that my brother owns technically, but yeah. Next ones that we have is Lego Jurassic World. This one, honestly, this one is actually I actually gave this to my younger brother as a Christmas gift, which was honestly I don't regret it because it's a good game and I think it's fitting for him to just own it. Even though technically I own the PS4. But yeah, it's a good game. It's a unique Lego game that is different from usual Lego games, and a lot of people a lot of people probably say that's probably not true, but in my opinion, it's a different kind of Lego game, just like Lego Lord of the Rings and Lego City Undercover. Which ones are the best ones of the unique Lego games? Well, that's one way to find out once more unique Lego games come out. But yeah, next up is Borderlands 3. Basically, the sequel of the second game that came out way later. Honestly, not a bad game in general. It's actually a really good game. The story is good. It it has lack there is a lack of content in this game in general, which it suffers from. But in general, I think the game is good in a way, and I think the reason why they kind of didn't want to go have too much content in this one is because they had so much content in the second game. So, which is understandable, but at the same time, could have had more. Could have had more. And then came the spin-off and literally blew away everything. But yeah, next game, Helldivers. Like the first game, second one actually did get released recently, but this one is actually a really good game. Yes, I know this is a Super Ultimate Edition with an expired code, which means that I don't have the DLCs, nor the PS3 or PS Vita digital versions, which is funny, nor the bonus weapons pack. But it's a good game in general. I think this is a really good game. Definitely recommended for multiplayer purposes. Uh, like it's definitely recommended for multiplayer purposes because the game in general is made for multiplayer. Next one, the last of its kind, or well, the last of the last game of the franchise. Scoundrels Imaginators. In general, think this is one of the cooler games in general. The fact that you get to create your own Scounger by simply using a crystal is cool, you know? And it's definitely not the best game, but it's definitely not the worst. It's definitely not a uh good game, but it's definitely it's not one of the great games, but it's definitely not a bad game. In my opinion, I think every Scavenger game is good. I just didn't experience Trap Team the way it was intended. So that is the only reason why I'm just next one is Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Um, what can I say about this one? Not much. I've played it a little bit, but it wasn't that appealing for some odd reasons. I just didn't play it that much at all. Here's a game which I actually played quite quite a lot at the time. Or well, quite a bit at the time actually. For Honor, which is essentially online specific game, physical, and I have the physical version, so which or technically he owns it, but like my brother owns it. So this one in general, I think is definitely worth playing because the gameplay is actually good. Uh, the the factions are also very interesting. You have the samurai, you have the knight, and then you have the Viking. And then there's another faction that is also added that was also added in. But it's a really cool game. Definitely not like one of the better Ubisoft games, but it's definitely one of the cooler games. Now, one of the games that I think people criticize a bit too much, but or like it's criticized it a bit too much, but it's also understandable, and that is Lego The Incredibles. Uh, Honestly, I think this is a good game in general. Like, I understand why people were like against the fact that there wasn't a Pixar based Lego game and why there wasn't a Pixar based Lego game instead of a Incredibles based Lego game. But it, in general, I think it was good, cool, and a really good game. And I honestly understand this why they went with Lego The Incredibles rather than Lego Disney because the movie was coming out. It was a lot of hype for that movie as well because of the first movie that happened early 2000s. Like the first movie happened in the early 2000s. This one came out in 2018. So yeah. Next one, which is actually a really good game in general, Injustice 2. Injustice 2 is, in my opinion, one of the better fighting games in general, featuring DC characters with the main characters being Batman and Superman. It is a very um basic Batman versus Superman, but with the Justice League sort of fighting fight essentially it's a civil war between the Justice League for more like more or less like that is the entire point of the franchise, but in this game it's also like they have to band together to take on a bigger threat that is coming towards Earth, and that's basically how it's what's happening in Injustice 2. But I also love the DLCs for that game. For example, Hellboy, which I actually love. I love that DLC. TMNT one, which was also just unexpected. The the Mortal Kombat ones, which actually was really cool that they went with more like added Mortal Kombat into Injustice 2. So that was also really interesting. And yeah, in general, I think Injustice 2 is a really good fighting game in general. Next game. This the sequel of the one of the first games that I had, Dragon Ball X Universe 2, or like half technically. Um, this one, in my opinion, is the best one of the two. In general, I'm just gonna say it has way too much content. it has so much content that you're more likely to not going to stop playing this game. Like you're going to play this game until until Xenoverse 3 comes out, whenever that comes out. There have been plans of it, but no confirmations of when or whether it will be. But and there are plans for more DLCs for the game, and I'm just like, what more DLCs do we need for this game? Are they trying to um get a proper ending to the few shenanigans and then get into like X Universe 3 that way? I'm actually curious on how that how that is going to happen. The main story in X Universe 2 continues from the first game, so just so you know. But yeah. The next game, which I think a lot of people are gonna be very interested in, one of the better games that, well, people are probably gonna know what I say when I say the company CD Project Red. Um, one of the best games they've made, which is The Witcher 3. In my opinion, it's a really good game. I've played the game once the entire way through. This is like the original release of the game, essentially. It also got the Golden Joystick Awards, the ultimate game of the year as well, which is actually interesting. Um, Definitely a game worth playing and getting into. So yeah. Now, a game which I think a lot of people are going to be very controversial about, but for me, I think it's a personally, I think it's a good game, and it is Sonic Forces. You can say whatever you want, but I think it's a good game. It's definitely not the best game, no, but it's a good game. Like, sure, you have the custom character, you have the wisp weapons. A lot of people have complaints about the wisp weapons, but not the custom character aspect, which is understandable because the custom character aspect was gotten cool. The wisp was also cool in general, in my opinion, but this one, this is also the bonus edition. So basically, it gives you the code for all the DLCs and also uh some art cards as well, which is actually really cool. Definitely like a game that I'm happy to have, but technically speaking, I don't own it, and I don't think I'm gonna keep it if I end up moving. Next game, which I think a lot of people are gonna also be interested in a way. Um, Lego Worlds. Yep, this is essential. Imagine if Minecraft came to Lego, but it is Lego specific and not Minecraft. This is literally it. Uh, this one also has a PlayStation PS4 exclusive Lego Lego pack, which is or yeah, which is the Agents pack, which I think is really cool. It's as I said, it's a Lego sandbox game pretty much with a not really a story, but more of a goal of some sort. Like the main goal is to get 100 gold bricks, and then you're basically unlock well, more or less everything. Not everything, but more or less everything of the main stuff. Next one is actually a game that I think was really cool when it came out, and definitely a game worth trying out. Assassin's Creed Origins. Definitely interesting thing. Based on the Egyptic mythology. So like essentially it's Assassin's Creed, but Egypt sort of style. And in general, I think it's a really cool game. I think it's the first game, if I remember correctly, the first game that had the bird view vision, which was actually really cool. With that was then carried on to Assassin's Creed Odyssey as well, I think. And like there was a ship battle mechanic in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but it was only for specific story reasons and not nothing else, basically. Next one is this is actually a funny one, and it's Minecraft PS4 PlayStation 4 version edition. Uh, if this is actually the copy of the game before the Bedrock version came out. So this is essentially the game you get when you buy essentially a Minecraft game without like that was made for a specific console. But yeah, that's literally, you know. And here's a game that I think a lot of people probably know what game this is going to be, since this is the only PS5 game I actually own. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and in my opinion, the best kind of Borderlands-esque game that exists. The game in general for Tiny Tina's Wonderland is really good. It has like it's the one game that kind of takes the element from a DLC that is from Borderlands 2 based on like the Bunkers and Badasses is tabletop role playing game like in Borderlands, which is basically a way of saying it's a version of Dungeons and Dragons, but in Borderlands. It's the Borderlands version of Dungeons and Dragons that is way more like way more, you know. And it's definitely a game worth playing, especially if you're interested in like tabletop role playing games. This is not a tabletop role playing game or a role playing game in the sense of it works like a tabletop role playing game, but it does like again, it's focuses on that aspect in the story. And the reason why I love Tarantino's Wonderlands is also character creation is good in this game. It's also the first game that actually had a proper character creation, while the other games actually had character customization, not a character creation. So yeah, this is the reason why I actually love Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. I also love the fact that there were class systems in this game, like different class systems. There's also a DLC class as well in the game. But yeah, that's basically it for the entire lineup of PlayStation physical PlayStation games that I have. So yeah, a lot of these games I honestly love. Sure, I don't own all of them. That is a fact, but like the ones I do own, I'm actually happy that I own them, you know? And it's definitely worth just keeping in general. Games, in my opinion, games are more than just games. It's a way of enjoying what you love. It's a way of saying, hey, if you like playing games, then here are games that you want to play, you know? And it's good to keep games that you want to play and have and that you enjoy in general. Like, sure, some of the games I'm just like, okay, sure. And then some of the like few of the games that I have is just like I don't know why I have that game in general, you know? And yeah, like sure, there are some other games here, but we're not going into those since those are not even connected to PlayStation at all. But yeah, this is pretty much it for games that I have. What do you think about the which of these games are your favorites, and like which one of the games do you like the most of the collection? If you like, you don't have to say anything if you don't want to, but if you want, which game is it that you like the most from this collection? Please comment below. I do want to hear it. You don't have to, but it would be interesting to see which game actually you're more into. Maybe there's a game in there that you probably haven't played and kind of want to try it out, you know? Yeah, but yeah, definitely. These are games in general that I love, and I wouldn't even want to sell them if even wanted to. Even though if they're games that I just don't understand why I have those games in general. Uh, um, and one of the reasons is also I love collecting games in general. If you look at my Steam library or PlayStation library um, of games, then I have tons of games. Well, and on PlayStation's mostly because I had of the PlayStation Plus stuff, but like on Steam, that is a lot. Though there are a lot of games there, but yeah, as I said, if you which game like as I said, if there's any game here, which game is your favorite of the ones that I've shown, and like I would definitely want to know in the comments, but like I would definitely would want to know which one is your favorite of all of these games in the comments below. My personal favorite in this collection in this collection is probably Tiny Tina's Wonderland or Spider-Man or Lego City Undercover. Like one of those three is probably one like my most favorite one. Those three are definitely up there. Oh yeah, and Devil May Cry, the DMC one, of course. I have played the fifth one, and honestly, the gameplay it just doesn't seem right to me with the fifth one. But yeah, um, as I said, which as I said, which one is your like? Please let me know which is your favorite game of from the collection, and if you want to comment, of course. And yeah, that's basically it for the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. That is, and may the storm be with you.